in the Korean Peninsula. It's been very shaky over there, as you can imagine. But this conversation took place yesterday as a U.S. aircraft carrier strike group steamed towards the region. Trump's call with the China president just days after they met in the United States came as an influential state-run Chinese newspaper warned that the Korean Peninsula was the closest it had been to a military clash since North Korea's first nuclear test in 2006. So they're rather nervous about this. They're very concerned about this. And as you know, folks, Trump has ordered the USS Carl Vinson Aircraft Carrier Group to head to the Korean Peninsula. He says this is an attempt to deter North Korea's nuclear and long-range missile ambitions. And I think it's a great one. Certainly got China's attention because basically what he said to China was, if you don't do anything, and this is power, leading from strength, we've already showed our strength, but leading from power, diplomatically now, China says we're going to try to de-escalate this item because we don't want the instability. And interesting enough, besides war, and if that should happen to destabilize Kim Jong-un's folks, there would be this migration. There would be immigrants. China doesn't want them. Now, yes, China has a bunch of people, but they don't want them. They don't want to deal with it. But it's amazing. It's amazing, folks. I can't even say this. Can I say this again? It's amazing. When you actually lead from strength, you have an effectual leader that means what he says what he means. There's something to be said about that. And some other talk show host was basically saying, well, maybe he's acting like a madman because this is the only language that he speaks. He's a madman. He's putting these missiles in, throwing these missiles out, and just acting crazy, saying crazy things because he's threatened the United States that he's going to, launch missiles into the United States. He's going to, mess us up. He's going to clean his clock. Whatever threats, whether they seem idle, but if he gets nukes, which looks like he's getting them or he's got them, he would launch him to the United States, to the West Coast. It wouldn't take long to get. And he gets a little further along with these tests, and that's what's got us very concerned. He's got our attention. But China has been helping them out. Oh, yes, it's to do with money. They've been providing them coal and resources and things that they need, things like food. Oh, the people there are not getting it. His people, Ung's people. Of course, Kim doesn't look like he's actually missing a meal at all. Swiss cheese, lots of craft beers. Interesting, I heard a report about North Korea versus South Korea when you look on the radar. Some of you know how to look at some of the satellite imagery, and some of the stuff might be delayed or days old, but you can see they are in the north, Kim Jong-un's palace, but everything else pretty much around it is dark. Then you look to South Korea, it's all lit up. Looks like a Christmas tree. But the poverty is just rampant. The starvation, so poor, and he treats his people terribly. It's just one of the worst places on the planet that you'd ever want to be. This guy kills his own uncle, kills his own family. The guy has no regard for anybody. It's all about power. It's all about ego. Now, I can say this. You got to put him in the category of Saddam Hussein. Yeah, he gassed, folks. I mean, just madmen, just crazy. And talking about annoying, just not even, you got to totally be ignoring your conscience. You got to be selling yourself to the dark side. He's going to be like Darth Vader. Seriously, the dark side of things. Just terrible. Speaking about the dark side of things, maybe you've heard this big hoopla going on at 21st Century Fox for the CEO, James Murdoch, who wants Bill O'Reilly, you've heard right, Bill O'Reilly off the air for good. Because they're embattled. Fox News anchor Bill O'Reilly, and I like him, by the way. I think the longest running cable TV news show and 20 years in running. But it's been enshrouded with sexual allegations. And it's really shook things up here. Yeah. Well, Bill O'Reilly, he announced this past Tuesday that he's taking a pre-planned vacation until April 24th. 21st Century Fox CEO James Murdoch, he said, according to a highly placed source within the network, wants O'Reilly to be taken off the air permanently following the recent string of sexual harassment allegations against the conservative host. And there's been a lot of them. Well, we don't know. There's been people that have left that network that have had allegations. Gretchen Carlson, she's had allegations. She was one of the biggest ones. And Greta Van Susteren, she must know a few things, what's going on at that network, but something's going on. Now, Rupert Murdoch, he was pretty much booted out of the building. This is family owned and operated. So the brother of Rupert, James Murdoch, is in charge, but, the brothers make a decision. According to the New York Magazine, Gabrielle Sherman, two highly placed sources within Fox say the leader of the news channel's parent company, 21st Century Fox, would like O'Reilly taken off the air permanently following this recent string of these allegations against him. And the New York Times, they have the scathing report earlier this month that O'Reilly and Fox have paid out some $13 million to a total of 5 women in exchange for them agreeing not to pursue litigation against the conservative commentator, Bill O'Reilly. So something's askew, and let me just say this, if it's true, not a good example, especially with writing children's books. He's written a lot of the Killing series books, Killing Jesus, Killing Kennedy, lots of great historical books. He's got ghostwriters on a lot of the books, but great contributions to the literary world. It's a shame, but they say the bigger they are, the harder they fall, and it's an embarrassment, clearly, and it just seems like this thing just doesn't go away. It's a shame, but you get people that are so talented that they feel like they're just above it all. And because of the talent, apparently Fox has been paying out all this money with Bill O'Reilly to keep him on the air because apparently he's 20% of the revenue there at Fox. So, they've done everything they can, paying big bucks. And O'Reilly, he denies it. He's basically saying it's an embarrassment to his wife. It's an embarrassment to his kids. Just make him go away. Just make him go away. I don't have time for court. I don't have time for this garbage. Just here, just take the money. And that happens occasionally. I don't know if all these women had issues, but somebody did. It's like Bill Cosby. There's something to it. And to me, it's right now at this level right now, something's got to give. There at the network because they're losing revenue. Advertisers are bailing. The O'Reilly factor, they have announced they don't want it to advertise anymore, and it's starting to hit them in the pocketbook big time. And when it hits them in the pocketbook, and now the eye is on Fox News, they lose credibility. And so leadership, talking about leadership, they're going to have to make a big decision here. Now, they say a similar dynamic, James calling for immediate action, Rupert Murdoch wanting to wait it out, developing last year when Rupert reports of the sexual harassment allegations against Ailes began cropping up, remember, Roger Ailes? But ultimately, James Murdoch got his way, and in the end, the embattled Fox News host fate rests squarely with Murdoch's. It's up to the family, like I said, and that's one insider told Sherman. So the assumption is that he'll exit in a non-embarrassing way, according to another senior Fox News official. So there you have it on Bill O'Reilly. It's a shame. And you know what? If all this is nonsense and this is all garbage, well, I hope it's revealed. You know, it seems like Bill O'Reilly would, defend himself well in court. Seems to be very outspoken, but, going to court, but every single time, 5 people, all that, millions of dollars. And here's the kicker. There's staff that have complained, that have left the network because of it and have said things. And so it's kind of and this, if you know anything about the news business, television news, this is nothing brand new. Sexual allegations against certain people in smallest towns in America that give the news are caught up in these things. So nobody's immune to it. It's just when you're a higher profile individual, has those ratings, and you come into the living room, and millions of people are watching you, you have a whole different thought about the individual. And it's a lot of people look up to O'Reilly. And if any of this is true, it's certainly a letdown. I will say that if it is true, the man needs prayer. I mean, obviously, there's a dark side to everybody, and maybe this is his demons that he has, but I pray that he gets some healing and he can figure some things out. But it's a tough thing. Some people just literally can't control themselves for whatever. It's a personal problem where they have to harass people, and harassment has no place in the workplace. Women get harassed a lot, and a lot of women don't say anything because they don't want to lose their jobs. And they put up with it. And bad things happen. And sometimes these women, they don't even tell their husbands. And they live with this. So like I say, if any of this is true, then he needs to go. And he certainly should issue, in my opinion, a public statement. But if it's not true, then there needs to be a fight. But either way, the way that I see it is that he temporarily steps down until he can, if he feels like he needs to fight these women and go to court and exonerate his name, or admit that he did these things and just step down. The man's had an illustrious career. He had a stint on radio where the O'Reilly Factor on radio, it worked out very, very nice. I just think he had his hands full, but certainly dominated cable news for 20-something years. I'll miss O'Reilly. I think he was terrific. I think, in a way, they're trying to groom Jesse Waters for that position in the O'Reilly Factor. It could be wrong. The only thing that I don't like about Jesse is that he has this high voice. And I don't know if they need to put some processing on him. But he's smart, but he's not O'Reilly. O'Reilly is just, he's one of a kind and seemed to be a straight shooter on the air. But, he's been in TV news most of his life. And he used to actually do Inside Edition. And he did things in Hollywood for many, many years. So it was Inside Edition or Entertainment Tonight, but he has been on television forever. He just had a little bit more hair. But it's unfortunate. But we had a guy on yesterday. And again, if you didn't listen to yesterday's show, this guy graduating from Texas A&M University, I'm talking about Ford Taylor, became the owner and operator of a small apparel company that grew into one of the largest companies in the world. Ford Taylor, no kidding. He had some issues. He had affairs. He was suicidal, all sorts of things. This guy was at the top of his game. Folks, people broke.